How did you go from track and basketball and all this into researching amino acids?
Well, yeah, we kind of got diverted off that topic. Uh, I was at the University of Texas Medical School, and we did a lot of work with NASA. And one of the big problems that occurs in spaceflight is without gravity, muscle is lost at a very fast rate. But there's only so much you can do. You can't, the lack of gravity makes the exercise difficult, and there's also a big limitation in how much weight can be taken up in the space flight. So they were looking for an approach to decrease the rate at which muscle strength and mass was lost without taking up a whole lot of space or weight. And in other words, a nutritional approach that maximized the bang for the buck, that the greatest anabolic effect on muscle without a big mass of food, and that's what led to the development of the notion of a supplement which would have only the elements that were absolutely essential for maintaining muscle mass and function, and that was the basis for the development of a product which we were able to almost completely eliminate the loss of strength that occurred over a month of absolute bed rest. So the subject stayed in flat bed rest for a month to simulate the loss of muscle mass with spaceflight, and then either took a placebo or the amino acid formulation, and there was just quite a drop in muscle mass and function with the placebo, and we were able to pretty much eliminate that with the optimal amino acid formulation. And so from there, I figured,
That's fascinating.
yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think that was what led me to the whole thing. The next phase of it was looking at older people that lose muscle function for very similar reasons, and really, you know, don't like to do exercise. That's one of the reasons why they're losing muscle mass so much, and trying to maintain muscle strength and function without exercise. And of course, there's only so far you can go with that. I mean, we've done that with the development of life, but of course, the real money comes, the real payoff is if you can combine the exercise and the amino acid
Sure.
products, and that is again a little different formulation because of the metabolic responses that you get with exercise primes the muscle to really be responsive to the beneficial effect of the aminos. And when those two are together, you get a real exponential increase in the muscle improvement in muscle function.
Let me ask you a question that's a little bit on a tangent here. From what I understand, and I don't know anything, but cancer. One of the reasons people die from cancer is cachexia, from muscle degradation, and when people are sick with cancer, they have difficulty exercising or eating. Their diets get off because of the different therapies they're on. Is there I'd be curious about this with someone with cancer, or is it something like you don't want to go there because there could be some kind of amino acid that could be contradictory to one of their medications, or that it could develop tumors or something like that. So I'm just curious what if you would know
Yeah,
that.
we have done studies in cancer showing a very beneficial effect. The problem nutritionally in cancer is that it's not just the lack of appetite, but also the metabolic response of muscle makes it very difficult to avoid muscle loss. And the muscle loss weakens the individual so much that they can't really respond appropriately to the chemotherapy, and quite often don't complete the course of chemotherapy, so that it actually limits their ability to be treated. The important thing to remember about our formulations of essential amino acids, these are dietary requirements. The USDA publishes the actual dietary requirements per day that you need to eat these compounds. So we're not providing some obscure chemical that we've synthesized on the benchtop. These are dietary requirements. We're presenting them in formulations that are easier to digest. there's no digestion involved with the free amino acids, where proteins have to be broken down by enzymes and so forth. They're rapidly absorbed into the blood, and they're in a formulation that enables you to take a very small amount and still have the same metabolic effect as taking a much larger dose of dietary protein.
Sure, sure. So you're basically getting the amount you need that you can't get because you just don't have the time to eat or the ability to eat that much, and it's just your natural requirement.
Well, yes, that's certainly one major application. Even if you are, but for people that are exercising, I really recommend a very uh, good diet with high quality proteins, and that the amino acids actually activate the effectiveness of dietary proteins, so that it's not just to make up for a weak diet or lack of time to eat, although that's an application. But even if you're eating a really good diet, it still is beneficial to take the aminos to activate the metabolic response to the dietary protein.
Okay, I see. Um, so there would be no danger in someone with cancer taking it.
No, that's something that people looked at way back in the 1980s, and the idea is, you're giving an anabolic compound to people that we don't want the cancer cells growing. But what has evolved is an understanding that the cancer cells have a metabolic priority in the body, and what happens is the muscle is broken down to provide amino acids for the cancer cells. The cancer cells are going to get the amino acids they need at the expense of muscle, so that when we give amino acids to someone that has cancer, the amino acids are replacing what muscle has been broken down to provide the precursors for the cancer cells. It doesn't provide any further stimulation of cancer growth.
And the cancer growth comes from the glycogen, anyways, doesn't it?
Well, proteins involved. You have to. The cancer cells have 25% protein. Without the promotion of protein synthesis within cancer cells, you're not going to survive. Yes, you're right. The idea that the carbohydrates are the main energy source has led to the notion of eating a high portion of fat in your diet as opposed to carbs. That's been harder to really substantiate a beneficial effect, again, because the cancer cells are going to thrive no matter what the diet. The dietary support is really to support the other tissues, in particular muscle, that are going to help you enable you to take the treatment that's going to directly affect the cancer cells.